Alright everybody, what is up? You asked for it, you wanted it, and with this Snowmageddon, I think it's only proper that we go through the all-white pile here. The more astute among you will notice that we're on Steam. We'll talk about that more in the coming days, but yeah, we'll talk about that a bit. We'll talk about that. Let's talk about what we got down here in the basement, first of all, down in the trenches doing work for us. Number one is going to be Doomed Traveler. This dude gives us another dude. He's a 1-drop. It's basically 1 mana, lay 2 dudes, one of them has flying. Like, this is just a solid card. It doesn't come up a whole lot, but this guy's going to do work. If you're facing green, even though they have huge dudes that are going to just keep bulldozing you over and over again, if you lay this dude, they're almost a little scared of killing it because they can't really deal with flying. And as you'll see later in the pile, we have ways to make him even stronger. So that's not really something that green wants to deal with. They don't really want to put you on a much stronger version of the dude you already have. So I run both Doom Travelers. I also run this guy. This guy is like a clunky removal spell, but he terrifies your opponent. And that's really where he comes into play, where I find him useful, is the fact that he just terrifies whoever you're playing against. They're not going to want to deal with this guy. Obviously, he kills anything that he even looks at, because he's got a scary mask on, so he's pretty good. I do run him. He's a 1-of. I got 2 Paladins in here. They are very impressive 2-drops. They're going to pressure your opponent early on, and you can see from the mana curve here that I don't use a lot of the bombs. I run it a little bit as a weenie pile, a little bit as a power-up pile, very much as a control pile, a lot of removal. Pretty much every removal spell that you can run in this deck is in here. So this guy is very strong. They will kill him instantly, but at the best for you, actually, he's using one of their removal spells, or he's eating a guy, or something like that. He's a very strong 2-drop. He's almost the same as this guy when you think about it, because if they're not blocking him with something with the 3 in the ass, he's going to go ahead and get the job done. If you can get both of them down, he's amazing. We've kicked one of them upstairs because I don't want to see him too often. I don't want him to show up late game, even though he does make for some very powerful all-out charges later on. Honor the Pure, 2 mana, +1/+1 to everybody on my side. I would run a 4-pack of these if I could. Very powerful early game. It's great to set up. It's always great to hold these back. If you have 2 of them and you've got a bunch of dudes out, then on your turn 4 or whatever, you could just drop 2 Honors of the Pure and swing in for way more damage than your opponent thought was possible. So it's a very good card, run both of those. We got Je ne te nowhere as a fantastic card. It's going to get rid of a dude. You get to return the dude if they have something like Stomp Howler, Acidic Slime. There's a lot of ways to get rid of Journey anymore, especially after the new packs came out, both advanced packs came out, but Journey's still a solid card. We've still got Pacifism in here, so we're running 5 removal spells just right here. We also have Pacifism, of course, is going to make sure that an enchanted creature cannot attack or block. We've got Raise the Alarm. This is a pretty decent card. We've got 1 star, I think, so this can be instant pump for that guy, really, which is great. Otherwise, this is pretty much just a removal spell. You can double block something that's 2 in the ass. You can just surprise your opponent in step with 2 extra guys that'll be bashing in next turn. It's a nice solid card, 2 mana for 2 dudes, not bad. Then we've got Pack Hawk over here, Squadron Hawk with a bling bluer in the middle. This guy is pretty damn good just because he's always going to regrip for you. Hopefully he's going to be a 2/2 at some point at least. But he always regrips. He's going to bring his buddies, which is just fantastic for us. And I mean, that's really the strong point of this card. I mean, it's obviously not a combo piece like it was in Paper Magic back when he first came out. But he's obviously a very impressive dude. You're going to be able to grip up, you know, up to your 7 cards and then lay your other one, grab another one. Never grip 8. I've seen somebody do that. This was like their first play. They gripped up too many Squadron Hawks and they had to decard, which was just a sad moment for them, I imagine. If you only have room for 1, just grab 1, because when you drop that one, you will be able to grab your 3rd. We've got Attended Knight. This dude is another dude inside of a dude with First Strike. Definitely run both of these guys. Fiend Hunter is a freaking boss. This guy comes down, gets rid of another dude. Sure, they can kill it, but a 3 in the ass makes him pretty safe from a lot of stuff. Not really the burn deck, but in a properly built burn deck, Fiend Hunter doesn't have a lot to eat anyway. We do have Flicker Wisp, because Flicker Wisp is the tricks in this deck. Flicker Wisp is the tricks in this deck. This guy can do so much work for you. There are just tons and tons of scenarios where Flicker Wisp is going to be the play of the game. So we definitely run him. He's a one-of, so you don't have to be like too crazy with him. It's a great card. We're running Guardian's Pledge as well. That's instant speed +2/+2. That is just a kill spell right there. Instant speed +2/+2 in this deck with as many guys as you're running is fantastic for you. We don't run 2 of them because that would be silly. We've got Intrepid Hero. This guy is not safe from anything, but he is 3-drop reusable removal. So we're up to like 7 removal spells because we've got the Fiend Hunters as well. And this guy just will keep tapping down, and he will terrify your opponent. I actually was playing against this guy, and this one guy had 2 Intrepid Heroes out, and it was a very bad situation because pretty much everything I laid down would just die to it immediately. So that was kind of a problem. I've got 1 Night Guard Patrol in here because I don't like him too much, but I like to keep things on the skinnier side in this deck, obviously. He's got First Strike and Vigilance. He can become a 4/3 if like the perfect storm occurs. So he's definitely somebody that I like to keep in there. We've got 2 O-Rings. Now, it could be said that this is the best removal in the format, and it definitely was true before some other decks became popular, because there wasn't really a way to cope with this. This is great against certain decks, definitely, because if they have Graveyard Manipulation, Oblivion Ring is just going to get rid of that creature completely, not to mention the fact that this is another permanent, so you can get rid of somebody's O-Ring. You can O-Ring an O-Ring, which happens all the time in Paper Magic. There's just so many tricks that you can do with this card. It is fantastic. You can take care of any non-land permanent, so it is just an awesome card. It is definitely something that we want to run 2 of. Safe Passage is another game winner. This is the tricks. I run Fog in my green deck. I run Safe Passage in this deck. It is just a good, solid card to have, because no matter what happens when you lay Safe Passage, your next turn is going to be amazing. It's either you can block up some dudes, and it basically gives all your dudes indestructible. And it allows you to have amazing blocks where you just wipe up somebody's side, just completely kill everything on their side. It also allows them to overextend, bash you for 0, and then you have the opportunity on your next turn to smash in for everything. Just bring the world and just crash in on them. It's fantastic. So we definitely run 1 of those. I've got 2 Dawn E's. This card's just solid. I don't like it because it's a 4-drop. If it was a 3-drop 2/2, I'd probably run a billion of them. But it's basically our version of Fog Bank. It's going to slow your opponent down, but this also kills stuff. Like, it's our version of Fog Bank, but it's 3 in the front, and the 3 matters. So this dude's awesome. It's just going to lock up red, because red has the flying creatures. If red has those, there's not going to be anything going for them. So it's a really great card. It's going to be doing 3 damage every turn as well. You can pump it up 2, which is great. Now we're getting into our bombs, and as you can see here, I do a lot of 1-ofs in this section, because I'm always happy to see 1 of these guys, but I never really want to see 2 of them. Starting off with Odric. Now they only give you 1 of this guy because it's a legendary, and they don't give you more than 1 legendary in this game. This guy is a home run hitter, though. You just completely get to control your opponent. Obviously, read the paragraph that they give you on this dude. He is awesome. Sean Connery all damn day long. Then we got Archon of Justice. This guy is just silly. When he leaves the battlefield, when we kill this guy, he has to die. Not when he leaves the battlefield. If he gets exiled, then you're just sad. But when this guy dies, you get to just say, hey, that thing is gone. Whatever killed it, whatever did anything to Archon, you just go ahead and get rid of it. And it really frees up your side to do some crazy tricks later on. He's a 5-drop, but he is a 4/4 removal spell in my eyes, and that is fantastic to me. Geist Honored Monk. This art is fantastic. Mr. Clint, bringing the thunder. I love the freaking art on this card. I would run this card if it was just the art and nothing else. They should have full art cards in this son of a bitch. That would be amazing. This is our star though. Like I was saying earlier, if we draw that 1 card late game, whatever it is, the 2-drop 2 dudes, this is actually going to be instant instant speed pump for this guy. I'm going to try and get through this card. I'm obviously very excited. It also brings a bunch of buddies when it comes into the field. It does a bunch of crazy silliness. It's got vigilance. This is a very strong card. 5-drop. Love it all day. This card is a little expensive. I actually don't like running it. That's why we only got the Bling Bluerton in here. But it brings dudes and it buffs dudes. You would be surprised at how many soldiers you have in here. I mean, not a ton. We took out some of them, but there are still enough soldiers to make its first ability relevant. Its first static ability relevant, and then of course it also brings some friends that are going to be 2/2s. But this guy always dies. Like, this guy is killed immediately. That's kind of why I don't like it, because it's basically just 6 mana, put 3 dudes into play. Not great, but it is going to eat a removal spell, and sometimes this can get you a win. If they're tapped down, you can lay this guy. The +1/+1 to all your soldiers could be enough to get you the win. And then, of course, we have Tits. If it says Tits, it is in the deck. Tits are always great. You always want to run them. Grave, Sun, amazing cards. Inferno, they're just good, solid cards. There's no Frost Titan in this game. That's the only one not represented, right? Yeah, because isn't Primeval's in the deck too? Weird. Very, very weird. I mean, obviously, Frost Titan... Well, maybe not so weird. But anyway, I just want to say, they could have put it in somewhere, probably. I mean, they get to completely control how powerful each deck is in this format. Like, they could put crazy cards in this format. This is a mini rant right now. Like, I love this game because they allow us to play with cards that are super overpowered in Paper Magic because you can run crazy combos. You know what I mean? I mean, they did put Panoptic Mirror in with a bunch of cards that just combo off greatly with that, but everything kind of does with Panoptic Mirror. But you guys see what I'm saying? Like, they could put in Moxes, for God's sake, and make sure that the deck was still balanced. It'd be difficult, but they could let us play with, like, insane cards if they wanted to. Speaking of cards that aren't so insane, let's pop up top upstairs and see who is staying home today. Elite Vanguard is a 2/1 for 1. He's kind of, if he had Hasteroos, if he was running as fast as that goblin right there that he killed, then I would be pretty excited about him. But basically, he just dies, and he dies without doing too much to the field. 1 Paladin, like I said. Master Decoy doesn't do shit. He's too slow. Ring of Thune, I don't run rings. Spectral Rider is so situational. He's a bear. Like, I almost want to run him. Like, almost, to be honest with you, I would run him over this son of a bitch, because I just feel like it's more useful in more situations. It's early game, and it's gonna whack in for, like, if I ever, I'm gonna stipulate this right now. If I ever draw this guy and I am sad, now I've play tested with this deck quite a bit, but not a ton. It's not really a deck that I play a ton. But if I draw this guy and I'm ever sad about it, I'm popping him out and putting this guy in. Because I just feel like they're both situational, and this guy is a beat stick if they don't have white cards. So, I mean, there's a lot of decks that this guy's just going to get in and just keep, boom, dealing that damage. Because Intimidate, of course, cannot be blocked unless a creature on the other side of the field shares a color with it. Crusader's up here just because it's not guaranteed to be powerful. You can instant speed bump it with the, or boost it with the other card that lays dudes, but that I probably should have looked at because I still don't know the name of it. But he just isn't good enough. He's a 1/1 creature. It is a soldier, so it gets some benefits from other cards that we have, but just not enough to make it worthwhile. Glorious Anthem, I'm sure a couple of you noticed when we were running through what's in the deck that this was not in there. I just don't want to run. I said I would run 4 of them at 2 mana, but I will not run 4 of them 2 at 3, 2 at 2. Not when I could have just 2 more 2/1s. Are you serious? Like, come on. Like, the 3 mana is a huge difference. It's just going to lock me up late game. Like, look at how my curve is. I don't really have time to lay this guy at that point. Like, I need to be laying 2 dudes on turn 3 or something like that. Like, I already need some pump out there. We're going to be looking at Pledge next. I told you I only want 1 of those in there because I don't want to get too tricky. I don't want to get too crazy tricky on myself. Intrepid Hero, we only need 1 of those. Midnight Guard, this guy untaps or some bullshit. I don't even know who gives a shit. Night Guard Patrol, like I said, we only want 1 of those. Pin and Blade is terrible. Captain's Call is slow as piss. Elgard Inquisitor breaks off into a dude, but he costs 1,000 mana. So neither of them. This dude costs 1,000 mana too, but it does give you 2 dudes. I don't know. That's just so late. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters. Like, when they play this card, it's at a point where I don't care. Because the two dudes are not going to do it for them. Like, I'm bashing in for 1,000. Like, what are we at, turn 5? Nah, it's not worth it. This card's equally slow. You gotta have a ton of mana out there for it to start working. It can get crazy, but it's not at the point where it is going to put the team on its back and carry you to victory. And I'd rather have most of my cards this late do that for me. Windborn Charge can win you the game, but who cares? I mean, it's Windborn Charge. Arcana Justice one, and these are pretty much the one-ofs, except Turn the Table, that'll win for you. Turn the Table will win sometimes, but it's just not good enough to keep in there. And then we've got the rest of our one-drops. Spirit of the Hearth, you have Hexproof, Witchbane Orb with the 4/5 body, if you guys know what Witchbane Orb is. It's basically the same goddamn thing. This guy, I mean, he kind of wrecks red because he's 5 in the ass. They have to go out of their way to kill this guy. But other than that, I just do not see too much usefulness for him in this format. Archangel's just bad. He costs 1,000. Mass Calcify, I would never, ever, ever run. It is too much mana. We did this with the mono black deck. I just don't run board wipes that cost that much. I've been wrecked by that card. That card has beaten me. You're right. And I look at him and I'm like, GG, way to go. Way to play Mass Calcify. But it's just not going to be good enough of the time. Like, it costs too much. If you're at that point, you're at this deck, if you're at that point, you're probably already getting beaten on pretty badly. Anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed this 60. It's a pretty good one. I didn't want to scream directly in the mic, but I had to set my water down. It is a pretty good one. I enjoy it. It's fun. It's got a lot of tricks, obviously. You got a lot of removal. You got a lot of dudes early on. You got really powerful dudes late. So I enjoy this deck quite a bit. I also love how there's only 7 cards in the whole deck that I can't play with almost certainty when I grip up my opening hand. That was really weird. I didn't make any changes. That's why I didn't ask me to save. Anyway, you guys, like I said, I'll be on Steam all week. If I run into you, then that is awesome. If you are one of those people that was playing around on PSN, we will talk a bit about the sad times that happened there. I'm sorry about last week when I was gone. I had a lot of stuff going on. We will talk about all that when we get into the gameplay for this week. But I hope you survived Snowmageddon. If not, I don't know how the hell you're watching this video. And just bundle up, stay warm, stay safe out there, you guys. I will see you on Tuesday.